Welcome back to another episode of the Quarantine Diaries, day 27, locked inside Meridian Woods Church of Christ, and it is a bit of a bittersweet day today on the show. Unfortunately, this will be our last day corresponding with our good friends, Wannabe Holy Girl 07 and Commander Kirk 91. So they're going to kind of wrap up with us, and we'll look back and talk a little bit about what they've been sharing with us later on this week. So without further ado, let's hear from Wannabe Holy Girl 07.
I hate not knowing what's going to happen. And I like to be as prepared as possible. So when I found out I had a surprise meeting with my guidance counselor today, I was not too happy. And to make matters worse, the meeting was about the future. Sometimes I get a little worried about the future. I don't have everything plotted out, but I have a good idea of how I want things to be. I have a bit of a plan. I want to go to college, learn about weather, learn about TV, get a job as a weather anchor, maybe meet a nice guy somewhere along the way. It sounds so easy, but guidance counselors, parents, and other adults are often quick to point out that plans aren't always so easy. The future. It would be nice to have some insight into the future. Maybe that's why I want to be a weather girl, so I can plan for what's coming. While I have many doubts about my short-term future, I don't have any doubt about my long-term future. I do plan on going to heaven one day.
Thanks, Wannabe Holy Girl. Next up, Commander Kirk 91.
Personal log. All my life I've looked up to heroes. Heroes in movies, heroes on TV, heroes in comic books. My screen name comes from a great admiration of one of these heroes. I bought posters, hang on my wall, action figures to show my fondness of these heroes. I play video games in an effort to be these heroes. I go online and post on message boards and discuss, even argue, about the greatness of these characters. I go to conventions and talk with people who also like these characters. And when I come across something I really like, I tell people about it. But ever since I began to study the Bible, I began to question my actions. Are there other heroes that I should be admiring? Ones that were real, not fictional. Are there ways I could outwardly express my fondness for these heroes? A way of acting, perhaps? Are there discussions I could have about these heroes? Or places I could congregate with people who like the same heroes too? Should I be telling others about this too? And if so, where do I begin? Hey Mom, I want to talk to you about something.
Thanks, Commander Kirk. We're continuing to talk about the Sermon on the Mount and building foundations this week. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about prayer and we talked about rejoicing and just singing songs. We talked about our passage for the week, the story of the foolish and the wise builders and building our house on the rock. Let's go ahead and hear that verse of the week, actually. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. When Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were amazed at his teaching, because he taught as one who had authority, and not as their teachers of the law. Thanks. Well, one of the fascinating things to think about is when the apostles were hearing these things, remember when we talked about the faith chapter in Hebrews 11, all of those great men of faith and women of faith that have gone before them, by faith, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, David, Moses, they go through the list of all these great things. And the apostles, when they hear these teachings of Jesus and as they're looking at his miracles and watching him do all these things on earth, been looking for him their entire life. And all of their forefathers have been pointing to this man that's going to come. And now they're getting to interact with him. And it's amazing to see that transformation. As they look back onto these people, they see Jesus becoming a better and a more perfect Moses, or a better and perfect Abraham, a better and perfect Isaac. So today's Trivia Tuesday question has to do with foundational things. You may have to use a little elbow grease and put your thinking cap on a little bit, but today's Trivia Tuesday question is, who is the second oldest person in the Bible? Who is the second oldest person in the Bible, and why is that significant? Email your answers to jared@meridianwoods.org, and we will reveal those winners on Friday. Once again, who is the second oldest person in the Bible?